Hey, how's it going, guys? Today we're working on a 2011 Toyota Sienna. I'm going to show you how to replace this starter. This is the vehicle here we're working on today. It's this body style here. First things first, you're going to pop your hood, and you're going to disconnect your battery. I'll start here by disconnecting taking off this bracket right here. This is a 10 millimeter. Got two bolts here. You're going to remove this one as well as this one. Once we got that out of the way, be careful too. Do not let that bracket touch both of these at the same time. At the same time too, be careful when removing the negative that you don't touch the positive terminal. This is a 10 millimeter as well. Now we're removing our positive cable. Once we set that negative out of the way, make sure too that that negative is not touching this. This is a 12, ours was changed before, but yours should still be a 10 if it's original. Next thing is to remove the battery out of the way. Now we can go ahead and remove this tray piece here. Now we're going to take a 10 millimeter and go ahead and remove these bolts here that are holding on this air box, so we can get that out of the way. Go ahead and take this one out and this one. Next step, we want to get this bracket out of the way. So this is actually 10 millimeter as well. Go ahead and remove one, two, and there's a third one right there. So you got three holding that bracket in there, so we can get this out of the way. Your starter's right here, so easy access. It's the third one, final one here. Now you can see, with that one out of there, this one will come out and release. We can pull it out of the way. I'm going to go ahead and get these lines out of the way as well. Tuck them in so they're not in the way, as well as this line. Now, it looks like somebody's worked on this before, because this connector, which we're going to remove, is actually broken. So we might have to replace this connector if we can't get it to stay on. That is important. Now, since we remove that cover, we remove that connector, this is actually a 12 millimeter. We're going to go ahead and remove this bolt here. Right after you remove that, you'll see that this will slide right off. Get that out of the way. Next step, we're going to go ahead and remove the main mounting bolts for the starter. This is actually a 14. They are torqued pretty hard, so if you do have a breaker bar, sometimes it's nice. Got the first one broke loose. Now we're working on the rear one. As you can see, it's back here. Once you get them loose, they're fairly easy to get up. My suggestion is to remove the rear one all the way first, leave that front one for last. As you can see, I can actually loosen this by hand once it's loose enough, which is nice. Don't drop the bolt. Since we got that one all the way out, we're going to work on the front one here. So get it loose, like I said, then you can do it by hand. Now we got both of those bolts out. We're actually ready to rock this thing out of the way. You want to just gently kind of finagle it out here. Sometimes you can use a flathead just barely to pry it out. Be careful, you don't want to damage the flywheel. As you can see, just rocking it by hand. This thing's probably been in here forever. This thing's got 180,000 miles on it. Boom, we're out. That's what it looks like. And you can check your flywheel too, make sure the teeth look good. Now, this is the part number here. We got this. This is a reman. This vehicle was actually made in the US. There are some that are Mexico version, but you want to obviously take it out, set it, and compare it. Make sure it is the same and is the correct part here. Yeah, these things do look similar, so I think we did good. We got the right part here. And we are ready to start mounting this thing back in here. Once again, obviously you want to mount it the same way it was removed, basically like this. We're going to slide it in. You just want to make sure that it jiggles in gently. You don't want to force it, and line it up with the correct bolt holes there. You mount this new one, you want to make sure it is seated all the way up here. You don't want it hanging out. You don't want to tighten it in with the screws. You want to make sure it's up against the bell housing here, so it's lined up with your flywheel correctly. When you start to replace these bolts, you're going to want to go ahead by hand and make sure they hand tighten correctly. You're going to do that all the way in on the front and then the rear. If it doesn't feel like it's threading in correctly by hand, it's probably because this is either a little too high or a little too low. So adjust that and make sure this screws in, like I said, by hand, nice and neat. Front one first, then the rear. Now we're moving on to the rear here. We're gonna once again hand tighten this. Same thing on the rear side. You might have to adjust it up or down a little bit so it will hand tighten all the way in there. I'm gonna make sure I hand tighten it as far as you can. Now we're gonna start tightening these in increments because we want them to be even. A couple here, a couple on the rear. It is good to have a torque wrench because these bolts here on the starter are supposed to be torqued to exactly 27 feet-pounds of torque. So make sure you got your torque wrench set correctly.